Mozambique Unrest SA envoy arrives.
For more on this,
Maputo.
we're now joined by International Affairs Editor Sophie Mukwena. Sophie, the presidential envoy, which has been sent to Mozambique, has been led by Sidi Mufamadi. It is unclear who they've met with and to what extent they've had engagements. What have you been hearing?
Well, what I do know now is that he was able to meet the president of Mozambique, the outgoing president, Filipe Nyusi, and they had discussions because this was perhaps the initial stage of the fact-finding mission to get a sense of what's happening in Mozambique. And we are told that efforts are underway to ensure that the envoy is able to speak to other stakeholders, but as you know, that it would have been very difficult for him to be able to get all stakeholders on one day or in one day. As you know, that particularly the main opposition leader is currently in Europe, in Sweden. He left the country after the initial announcement by the Electoral Commission and after those violent protests when they started. And he is still in Europe. And therefore, I think as we speak now, efforts are being made to ensure that they are able to speak to other parties. And as you are aware, there was no announcement by the presidency or the Department of International Relations, because this is the initial start. But I think, as I know many countries would have done on the continent when an envoy arrives, then sometimes the envoy gets ambushed, by the host organizing media to see that they are engaging with perhaps important role players in the region, and Mozambique would have done that. And I think South Africa didn't want a very public engagement. They wanted a quiet engagement before they can even make any move, because this issue is quite technical in a sense that the country that is going to suffer most, the neighboring country, is South Africa, in terms of trade and investment and people-to-people issues of security. And therefore, but on the other hand, you have a SADC chair, that is Mozambique, that is supposed to lead in the efforts to ensure that there's peace and security in Mozambique. That will be supported by the Troika organ on politics and defense, and it is chaired by Tanzania. And therefore, much as South Africa can play a role, it has to take into consideration that there's regional leadership, and as South Africa is doing this based on the fact that these are our neighbors. You know that they get goods and services from South Africa. This is an important economic corridor for many countries on the continent, including South Africa, and therefore the security and the political instability in that country will definitely affect a country like South Africa. And also there were calls made by many people, institutions, organizations. I mean, I spoke to one of members of the opposition who told me that they would prefer South Africa to be part of a process to ensure that this matter is resolved, as you had even during the announcement, after the announcement, when they decided to take this matter to the courts, and then the Constitutional Council, before it could make pronouncement, they were already indicating stakeholders in Mozambique from the opposition side that they would prefer South Africa to assist them. There are strong reasons why perhaps there's no confidence in the SADC region. But President Nyusi, on the other hand, being a veteran in terms of the regional relations and power, wouldn't like that. And therefore, I think there will be a pushback from the Mozambique outgoing president for South Africa to intervene.
Yeah. Just lastly, we don't have much time on this, but what is the position officially, as we know it, of the various multilateral bodies that Mozambique belongs to, SADC being one, and that position has been known and clear. But have we heard anything from as far as the United Nations or the African Union?
The African Union Commission, Mutafaki, issued a statement a few days ago calling all stakeholders to exercise caution and restraint in terms of even the security officials, how they are trying to restore order. We also saw a similar call from the Secretary General of the United Nations, and I suspect in his speech ahead of New Year, that has been recorded already and will be aired on Monday after 11 South African time. This issue of instability around the world, including Mozambique, will be part of his message, but he has already issued a strong statement calling for calm and dialogue in terms of what's happening in Mozambique, and also emphasizing the role of the regional organization and the continental body and neighboring countries.
Yeah.